Cornelius, what sewing machine should I buy? That is by far my most asked question, and so today we're answering it once and for all. The best way to answer this question is to ask more questions. So yes, it's all going to get rather confusing, but all I need is just a little bit of your trust as we wade through these murky waters to a clear, concise answer at the end. My name is Cornelius Quiring. That's my logo. That's my word mark. And Cornelius.ooh is my website. And a massive thank you to Quality Sewing for their support in creating this video. So, what do you want to sew? And I asked this question because there's no one machine that can sew everything well. But every machine can sew something well. And so knowing what you want to make will help you target to the right category. The most popular answer by far is most likely, I want to make my own clothes. Which, fantastic, let's do that. What you're going to want is what I like to call a regular sewing machine. And regular is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. But there's two key features. It does a straight stitch and a zigzag stitch. The straight stitch is used to put the different pieces of fabric together. The zigzag stitch, on the other hand, does things like making buttonholes. It can even be used as a bar tack to strengthen areas like pocket openings, or finishing the raw edges of your fabric to prevent it from fraying. In fact, it's that side-to-side motion that enables all of these different fancy stitches to be possible, like this one right here, for example, which is a good alternative for finishing the raw edges. And hold on a second here, Corn. You're describing every kind of sewing machine. What good is this? Yes, I like the way you're thinking. Let's refine our question a little bit. What type of fabric do you plan to make your clothes out of? Is it woven fabric? And by woven, I mean the kinds where the yarns of the fabric are interlaced over, under, the more traditional of fabrics. The kind of stuff you make button-ups out of. Fancy office skirts, wool suits, that kind of stuff. It doesn't typically have stretch to it. If this is the case, then a regular machine is still the way to go. But where things get interesting is if you say that you want to sew with knit fabrics. In knit fabrics, the yarn of the fabric is looped together instead of interlaced. And this is the kind of fabric that t-shirts, sweats, hoodies are made out of. In this case, you might consider investing in a serger, or overlocker as it's sometimes called. And it does stitches like this. And not only does this stitch do a better job of maintaining the stretch of a knit fabric, it also beautifully encases the raw edge within the stitch, and it just saves so much time. Full transparency, it isn't possible to make a full garment with a serger. Things like hems still require a regular machine, but if knits is really your thing, perhaps you consider investing more in the serger. Another benefit of having a serger as well is finishing the raw edges of any type of fabric. It's just so much neater and cleaner. In fact, quite often people who get serious about sewing end up with at least these two machines. Now perhaps your answer to my initial question of what you want to sew is, I'm going heavy duty. You want to make coats. Perhaps you're making rugged outdoor gear for your camping adventures. Or you could be one of those several folks who've talked about making blankets for your horses. The neigh-neighs. They get cold in the wintertime. If this is the case, you might want to consider going semi-industrial. These machines, they'll go through thick layers of fabrics or multiple layers like it's butter. They just punch through it. Again, an important detail with this machine is that these are usually straight stitch only machines. Another interesting fact, This is also often considered a quilting sewing machine, where you once again only need a straight stitch and you're going through many layers of fabric. Perhaps you're the sort that enjoys cosplay. I think you can go one of two ways here. If you make more outfit style costumes, well then a regular machine seems to make sense, but if you're working with a lot of faux furs, heavy materials, then perhaps consider semi-industrial. There's a good chance that the things you want to make end up falling into multiple of these categories, and so you might be thinking to yourself, Cornelius, does that mean I'm buying multiple machines? Maybe, yeah. I did say it was going to get confusing before it all made sense, and so just hang with me here and let's move on to the features, the bells and whistles. So what features do we both need and want on our sewing machines? Even an entry-level machine is going to give you every feature that you need. You can do your straight stitches, zigzags, fancy stitches. You can adjust the width of these stitches, how long you want them to be. You can choose your different type of stitches. And of course, you've got your lever to go backwards to close your stitches. But even this machine has some items that I would put in the want category, like this here automatic threader. And then as the price of the machine goes up, of course, the list of wanted features also increases. Like this machine, for example, which has an automatic buttonhole feature, but not just regular buttonholes, fancy buttonholes. And as someone who makes a fair share of button-ups, yeah, this is a pretty amazing feature to have. But not only that, it also has an automatic thread cutter. It comes with this really handy little lever where when I push my knee against it, it lifts the presser foot, so that way I have both hands free to adjust as I need, and as soon as I let go, it goes right back down. I mean, come on. This machine, on the other hand, has this really neat feature where when I lift my foot off the foot pedal, it ends at the furthest stage down inside of my fabric. The benefit, of course, being that I never lose my place where I'm sewing. I can just lift up the presser foot, turn my fabric around, and keep it moving. When it comes to sergers, do you go 4-thread like mine here, or do you invest in a 5-thread serger? The benefit of one of them being that you have that extra secure stitch a little further in. Fantastic for heavy-duty projects like denims, jeans, coats, those kinds of things. Stitches per minute. What kind of accessories does it come with? There's enough features to choose from to make you dizzy. And now I wish I could tell you that the fancy features on these machines don't matter, and truthfully they didn't until I got these machines, and now I can't live without them. Corn, we're about 8 minutes into this video and it's been nothing but confusion. I'm starting to think all of this messiness is for your own entertainment. Just one more detail, one more thing we need to go over, and we'll get there, I promise. But real quick, when I told Quality Sewing that I was planning on making this video, they very generously offered to send me some of the machines that I've shown here today. What I like about them is that they aren't some large faceless corporation pushing machines. It's everyday folks like you and I who just love to sew and make things. Check them out at qualitysewing.com. I've shared the link down in the description. And then when you're ready to buy, just use my coupon code CORN at checkout to save 10% off your entire order. And 10% on a sewing machine goes a long way. Also, remember how I said they're just good people? Well, give their support staff a call and ask them any questions you might have. Also, tell them my code CORN again for that 10% discount if you buy over the phone. Okay, let's start by picking a brand for you. For the most part, all the major manufacturers make machines at all the different price tiers. And I'm going to use Pfaff just as an example, but they have the 140S, which goes for just below $400. But then they also have the Performance Icon series, which is about $7,000. And if you've done any research already, I'm sure you've found everyone advocating for their own brand of choice. I've got 5 Genomes, and I love them. If it ain't Bernina, Don't talk to me. This guy is a jukey head. At this point, I've used the machine from just about every one of the major manufacturers, and there hasn't been a single one where I thought to myself, ooh, you stay away. What I have found is that as the prices go up, the quality generally improves. And a good tool is going to make a big difference in how you work. So let's just cast brands aside and let's talk numbers. A brand new entry-level sewing machine like this one usually costs on average $250. This machine, on the other hand, costs about $2,000. Part of that cost being the fact that it comes with this extra extension that allows me to do my very own embroidery. There's so many cool little features on this machine I just don't have time to cover here, and think it's worthy of doing a whole separate video focused on just this puppy. And so if that's of interest, do let me know down in the comments. This serger was $1,000, brand new. The heavy-duty quilting machine here is $1,200. And then there's machines that can go anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. So no shortage of options. Here's the thing though. You probably have a number in your mind of what you're willing to spend and is your budget. And as you're doing your research, it's probably going to come down to two machines. There's going to be one that you can afford within that budget right now. And then there's going to be another one that's ever so slightly outside of your budget, but it's just that little bit nicer. And it has the features that you want. I've heard this countless times from viewers and in comments and messages. And most people in this scenario end up getting that one they can afford right now. And they all talk about how they regret not waiting that little bit longer and saving up that little bit more money to get the one that they actually wanted. Yeah, I know, not the answer you wanted to hear. But here's the thing. Chances are very likely you're only ever going to buy one or two or maybe three machines in your life. And these things should last you a very, very long time. This is an investment. And so I personally suggest waiting, saving, and get that nice one that you really want. All right, so brand out the window. In terms of price, we've got a budget in mind, and then we're going to get the one that's slightly above what we intend to spend. In terms of the extra features, here's the truth. 90% of what I sew is just a good old-fashioned straight line. Second to that comes the zigzag stitches. I personally think it's best to just pick one or two of these extra nice-to-have features that best align with the type of things that you're making that speak to you most, and well, everything else is just gravy. Instead, focus on getting a machine that properly fits into the category of materials you'll be sewing. You might eventually get a second machine so you can sew more and better quality items. And that's it. It really is that simple. Pro tip though, if you want to save some serious coin, check out Quality Sewing's pre-owned and recertified program. This one, as a matter of fact, is a recertified machine, and as a result was $900 cheaper than its new equivalent. And when I got it, it had only done 4,000 stitches, so it's basically brand new. A massive thank you to all the members of the Corncob Club, and a special shout out to these top tier supporters. And oh, what do you get as a member? Oh, good question. Well, you get exclusive content, big old discounts on courses, there's a sewing group chat, and so much more. Just head on over to that URL right there, or hit the join button right here on YouTube, and you too could be one of the juicy kernels on this here ear. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day. Let me know down in the questions if you've got comments. You know down in the comments if you got questions. Woo!